Welcome to The Bridge, a podcast for dental professionals featuring the insights and expertise of fellow dental professionals. Let's welcome our host, Stephen Kuza.
Good morning, Bridge Dental Podcast listeners. Today we are lucky to be joined from Rhode Island, Dr. Alesh. It's good afternoon now. Good afternoon, Dr. Alesh. How you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. And confirmed, you're in Rhode Island, right?
I am.
Okay. Sometimes we talk to people, they're on vacation, but
I wish.
That's all right. Well, we're really excited to have you today and really appreciate you giving us and carving out some time. You have an amazing story about just really, truly your path through life, but also your path through dentistry. And we're excited to talk to you today, gain some insight, learn more. I know you got a lot to share, so I think we should get right to it. And for Bridge Dental Podcast listeners, take a seat, take some notes, listen in. She's got a lot to share. Dr. Alesh, tell us, let's put some foundation down. Where are you at today? What are you working on?
Okay, so right now I am in the process of my startup build out in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, building my first practice. I work at a community health center in Burrillville, Rhode Island. I'm a mom of a 3-year-old, and I also own 2 other businesses, a wedding and event planning business and a satin line scrub cap business. So that's kind of what takes up all my time right now.
Oh, definitely. I don't know how you have time for one of those things, let alone all of them. So tell us, let's kind of start right there. We'll start kind of a little bit current, but tell us how you define your time with the different, obviously personal life is one thing, but with the different businesses you have.
So really, the easiest way I'm able to manage my time is trying to do a little bit for everything every single day. So I have work, which is set scheduled hours. And then I don't work 5 days a week. I work 3 days a week.
Okay.
So then some days that are like my admin time, like Tuesdays, I normally take meetings. I do delegate a lot. So for my scrub cap business, I have someone who fulfills all the packages. I deal mostly with customer inquiries, but fulfilling orders, I have someone that I've hired for that. And then really setting up meetings and just being fully present in whatever I'm doing at the time that I'm doing it. Meaning like I'll get the most productivity working on my scrub cap business if when I'm working on it, let's say I give it an hour, I just focus on that. And then I move on to the next thing, if it's work, dentistry, whatever it is. So it's always something different every week, but I try not to have to be clinical so much so that I do have time for the other things that I want to do.
Well, I love that. And you grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, by the way, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so there's a lot to unpack because you're doing so many great things and you're more of an entrepreneur than anything else. But I'm curious to where that maybe started from, where that came from. So let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
And tell us about your upbringing and maybe kind of what started to drive you down the road of dentistry, entrepreneurism. So curious to understand that a little bit.
So I have one full sibling and then my mom. So just the 3 of us in the house together.
Okay.
And because it was just 3 of us, I'm Nigerian and Muslim. So our community is very large, but most people have pretty big families. And because you're more of a non-traditional family, my mom leaned on us a lot for decision-making. I was very independent very early on. So we weren't micromanaged as children. And if there was an issue, we kind of all sat down together and troubleshooted and figured out what the solution was going to be. And so I think that was the beginning of like just me being able to make decisions for myself and decide, kind of feel in control of my life and what happens to it. And then both my brother and I are very creative, and in the house, we didn't have a lot of money. So if something broke or something wasn't working, we needed a solution. We would just have to figure out a way to do it together. So everything, like I know how to do arts and crafts, building. If something broke in my house, I could fix it. There's no one to call, so we had to figure it out. And so that was kind of like the beginning of like just being on our own and figuring out things for ourselves. And then in terms of entrepreneurship, it's more so of just like I always get ideas and I have more notes in my phone than I have businesses, and I already have 3 businesses. So if I had the time, there would be more things that I was doing, but there isn't enough time in the day. I just get ideas and I feel like I can do it. If somebody can do it, I can too.
Right.
Kind of. So that's really why I'm the way that I am, I would say.
Well, and we had gathered a little bit of information prior to obviously talking with you, but you said you wanted to be a dentist since you were 4. So you're probably the first person I interviewed that said since you were 4, you wanted to be a dentist. So where did this dream of being a dentist come from?
So I had a lot of cavities as a child, and I went to a pediatric dentist in Providence called Samuel Sinclair. And my pediatric dentist was just amazing. And so I just wanted to be like him. And after my appointments, I wouldn't ask for toys. I would ask for gloves. And they would give them to me and we'd go home. I'd sit my mom on the little toddler chair and look in her mouth and check her teeth. And so everyone was just really supportive of me saying, I want to be a dentist at that age. No one said, no, that's not possible for you. So because no one said it was a crazy idea, I just kind of took it and ran with it. I had other ideas, like maybe become a teacher, maybe become a pediatrician, but I always found my way back to dentistry. And then when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to intern at that same clinic.
Wow.
And so then it solidified my passion for dentistry because they serve low income and patients with special needs. And it just opened my eyes to kind of what I want to do. I love community health. And then I saw that dentistry suits my personality in the way that I get to be a leader. It's very detail oriented. It's very like ordered by steps, that like all that fits me. So once I got to intern there in high school, I had no other, desires to have any other career. And that was it.
Well, I went home with gloves and started doing dental work at 4 years old. I love it. And you ended up going to Tufts, right? Tufts University. So what I found interesting in your background, so you talked about there was this opportunity to study abroad in Ghana and how that maybe changed your trajectory a little bit. Talk us through that a little bit.
So I was very focused on becoming a dentist. And so at that same clinic, I was between Tufts Dental School and BU Dental School in terms of thinking about where I was going to go to undergrad. I was just choosing my undergrad based on what dental school I wanted to go to because I wanted to do like a 7-year advanced program.
Okay.
And so everyone, I asked maybe like 7 doctors and all of them had some kind of affiliation with Tufts. So I just said, Tufts it is. I'm really the opposite of indecisive. I can make a decision really quick with not that much research. So some people said Tufts and that was it. It was Tufts for me. Went to Tufts, did the early assurance program. And so my path was set. But you do have to keep certain GPA minimums. You have to get a certain score on your DAT to maintain your acceptance. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself in school because I went to public school in Providence. And when I got to college, it was like a rude awakening. I had always been great at school. And for the first time, I was struggling. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't know that my high school hadn't really prepared me well for the level of academia that was Tufts University. And so I didn't feel like I had a safety net. There was nowhere for me to go back to if I didn't, finish college and become a dentist. There was no plan B for me with the way that my family situation is. So that pressure that I was putting on myself wasn't healthy. And I wasn't enjoying life or seeing things more than just being like, I need to study, I need to get straight A's. Like I did get straight A's, but I think there could have been a better way to do it, a healthier way to do it. So when I went to study abroad, because I had gotten in early, I was able to take a semester to study abroad. And I just saw the world like in a completely different lens, like the beauty of people dancing, laughing, and really just sitting on my balcony one day. Like our dorm rooms had balconies, and I was just watching the sunset, and that would be nothing I would ever do at Tufts. And I was just like, really, like the sun is going to rise and the sun is going to set, regardless of what I'm doing, what kind of stress I'm putting myself under, and nothing really matters that much. Like nothing that I'm doing in school is life or death. So it really changed my perspective to just focus on what I can do and do my absolute best. So prepare myself so that I can do my best at whatever it is that I'm tasked with. And then there's nothing else to worry about, because if I know I gave my best effort, there's literally nothing else I could have done, and then move on to the next thing. And so since then, I don't really stress about things. I'm happier. Like, I'm just a better person to be around, and I'm not so like high strung and uptight. I still am type A, but I think I moved through the world with just a lot more happiness and gratitude, because it's just like, this is a blessing. I wanted to be a dentist since I was 4 years old, and I'm literally living my dream. Like, what could be so miserable about that? So yeah, that's
I can see you like, in a tough situation of adversity, just reflecting on like sun rising and the sun setting and being back in that dorm balcony. But that's really cool, because there's it's almost like a lot of societal pressure to do unbelievable. Everyone's got to be unbelievable at school. Everyone's got to come out and buy practice. Everyone's got to come out and produce at the highest level. And you're like, whoa. So it's a lot of pressure. And you got to see a different version of that, where people just kind of enjoyed life. So, and do you, now you're at the community health center now. And did you go right from Tufts there? Or like, what was that progress like?
So once I graduated, I realized I hadn't planned anything after becoming a dentist. Like, I planned my whole life. And then I graduated and I was like, wait, I didn't continue planning. So, and then I didn't really have any mentorship or guidance on, what to do. I got my master's in public health. I did like a dual degree program in dental school. And so I had about a year left after dental school, and I got my master's in public health, but really I had no direction after that. So I started working full-time at a community health center in Mattapan, Boston, Massachusetts. And that wasn't the best situation for me. So I left there and moved back to Rhode Island and started working at the health center that I am now. But all while I was working at health centers, I would always work part-time in private practice just to maintain kind of like that private practice skill set. And so it's kind of always been a mix of both, but I've just been kind of winging it. And now I feel like now that I'm opening my own practice, I'm really
three businesses later, I think I know what I want to do. So, well, you're going down this path of opening a practice, and as people are listening, and what are some things that you've learned through this process, maybe that you didn't know before, of like discovering, and because you're opening a scratch practice.
Yeah.
So talk us through that. Like, what are you learning through this process that maybe you could help others with?
I feel like I can't even tell anyone anything yet, because I feel like I'm still like, I don't know. Is it going well? I'm not sure. Like, it's supposed to open in January, but who knows if that's going to happen. I've just tried to be as prepared as possible. I'm in a lot of different dental Facebook groups. I listen to podcasts. I have friends who open up their own practice. I ask people questions a lot. I'm really just trying my best to not be like a know-it-all. So that was another turning point for me, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, where I got a dental mentor, and she basically told me like to give myself grace to make mistakes. And before that, being a Black woman in dentistry, there's not many of us. And so if I went into a practice and it seemed like I didn't know what I was doing, it wouldn't be like, oh, she's a new grad, it's okay that she doesn't know what she's doing. It could be like, oh, because you're Black, you shouldn't be a dentist anyway. At least that was the pressures that I put on myself, or sometimes the energy that I felt. And so I wasn't allowing myself to be a student anymore, because I felt like I needed to know everything. I needed to show that, I am smart and I do deserve to be here. And so even in dental school, I didn't give myself the opportunity to make the mistakes that you should make when you're a student. And I was carrying that through my career. So once I had that conversation with my mentor, it really changed things for me. And I said, like, I don't know everything, and I need to learn the things to become the dentist that I actually want to be, and that my patients deserve. And that switched things for me to just admitting like, yeah, I don't know this. I don't know what I'm doing here. And that's really when I wanted to open my own practice, so that I could take the things that I was learning and have somewhere to apply it. So the biggest part of this startup journey is just being like a fool and asking questions. And, if it sounds dumb, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you think that I'm dumb. I know that I'm smart and I know that I deserve to be here. And I know that I've worked hard to become a dentist. But me asking questions is going to be for my benefit and for my patient's benefit. So whatever.
Right. Well, and it's funny because type A, you typically want all that control. It's like, I want to know everything. I want to make every decision.
Right.
That's a big decision to let go of that. That's against the grain or the fabric of who you are, how you're wired anyway.
Yeah.
But it shows that you have a lot of ability to adapt and be open-minded. And I think that's the lesson there. It's like, be open-minded. I know you might want it a certain way, but ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And find a dental mentor, right? That seems to be a big deal.
Absolutely.
So, and how did you go about finding a dental mentor? Like, people are listening to this, like, well, where can Dr. Alesh be my mentor? Like, how do you go about finding a mentor?
So, honestly, Instagram has been my plug for everything.
Okay.
I follow a lot of dentists on Instagram, and you can just see different opportunities. So this particular one, she's in Florida. Her name is Dr. Amira, and she just posted that she was having a mentorship program.
Okay.
It was like a paid mentorship program where it had like some group meetings. She gave us homework, and then maybe like 2 personal calls where you just would tell her, kind of what's going on, and she would give you advice. And it was life-changing for me. I think also just interacting with different dentists on Instagram, like we're always in somebody's DMs, people are in my DMs, and it just creates this community that I really enjoy. And that was the way I went about it. I wouldn't say that I'm like the most people person. Like if I'm in a networking event, I'm really not going to be walking up to everybody and handing out cards and shaking hands. It's not my personality, but I feel like on Instagram, it's a lot easier for me, for people to see like who I am, because they can already go through my page and kind of see things about me. And then just it's organic because, okay, we've already been liking each other's pictures and commenting on things. And when I'm in a course, you commented. And so it feels easier to make those connections online.
Very cool. Very cool. That's how I met you, by the way.
Exactly.
Right?
Instagram is the plug for me.
Right. I appreciate that. And I'm thinking about you went through this process to discover that you wanted to open a scratch office. Did you consider buying into a practice, or just maybe when did practice ownership become a thought and then scratch practice ownership?
So I always knew I wanted to open up eventually.
Okay.
I don't know when. And then, like I said, I always did community health part-time and private practice part-time, but I could just never find the right private practice fit. Like I find like the community health center that I work at now, I love it. And it's community health exactly the way that I would want to do community health. Like we treat our patients so well. I can order anything that I want. The staff is well trained. It's exactly the way that I envision being a community health dentist. But I could never find the right fit for the private practice in terms of like the level and the standard of care that I want to provide to the patients and doing the things that I wanted to do, like the types of procedures and things. And so finally, after the last one, I just said, I need to open my own because I'm not going to keep jumping from private practice to private practice. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And so I started looking for places to buy because that was the ideal way that I wanted to do it. Just be able to walk in and, slowly over time, change culture and things like that, but not have to do it from scratch. And I just couldn't find anything that was the right fit. It was either not enough ops or the space, or it was ugly or not in the right location for me. So after, going down that path for a while and realizing there wasn't anything that worked for me, there was a location kind of central to this kind of metro area of Providence that I really wanted to be in. Okay. And they had something for lease. And so I just went with that, and that took forever, but we're here. We're almost open. So,
what do you know the name of the practice yet?
Marigold Dental Studio. Like
very
the flower.
cool.
My brother's favorite flower, so I named it that. Mm-hmm.
That's really exciting. That's exciting. And I can see the way you lit up when you said it. You're ready to go. You're like, I'm ready to open this place.
I'm so ready. Yeah. The potential energy for a long time.
Yeah, very good. Well, very cool. And I know now that you have perspective, you're okay with just let it control what you can control, right? That's what you said.
Exactly.
But I'm sure you're going to bring a lot of love and gratitude and great dentistry to that.
Yeah.
And but I at least gotta ask you about these other businesses you have. So tell me about the scrub cap business, right?
Okay. So during COVID, everyone started covering their hair more.
Yeah.
And I started wearing scrub caps once I had my daughter. Why I didn't wear them before, I'm not too sure. But once you have a kid, you start thinking about like all these things that can attack them. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I don't cover my hair at work. So I started wearing scrub caps. But then after a while, like the cotton in the scrub caps really damages your hair.
Okay.
And I didn't really think too much of it. But during COVID, more dentists in like some of the Facebook groups that I'm in were asking for satin lined. And when I went on Etsy, there weren't any that were satin lined that were plain colors. They're all like kind of bold prints, and I'm not a bold print kind of girl. So I wanted something that was solid colors that would just match my scrubs. And I couldn't find it. And then finally, I'm the solution to the problems that I see in the world. So I just had a tailor make a sample. We went through a few different samples, and then we started making them. I started selling them on my website, and we're about almost 2 years now into selling, I think, over 1,000 sales. So it's exciting. I still have more goals for the business, but I think it fulfilled a need that exists because I get orders from New Zealand, Canada, the Bahamas, the US mostly, because I'm based here, but lots of places. And so there's definitely more to grow. But that's the story, the origin story of that. It's called Alika Headwear.
Yeah, you don't like bold prints, but you like bold action. So you took action and you got it done. That's pretty cool. So hold on. We don't want to flood your sales, but tell the people how they can get access to this stuff.
So it's called Alika Headwear, and ELIQA. It's named after my daughter. And it is at alikaheadwear.com. And that's really it. If you go on the website, we have 19 colors. And so basically any scrub color you have, you should be able to find one to match.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool. And so, I mean, you went from like, I'm just going to find some that I need, and then to, we should probably create a business for this and see how it goes, you know?
Yeah.
I love that. And so what was the other business you mentioned?
So I have a wedding and event planning business.
Oh, yes. I mean, not like an easy transition.
No, but these are all my different interests. I feel like I should be able to do what I want with my life.
I agree. I agree with that. Tell us about this. How did this one come about though? Where did obviously maybe some event planning or maybe just setting up space, or like, tell me where that came from.
So 4th year of dental school, it's not that I was bored, but I was like, I need something to do that's creative. And I was planning my graduation party, and one of my best friends was getting married. So I said, I can, do this. I can just start an event planning business. And so in the beginning, it was everything. Like I didn't know exactly what I liked doing. I did decor, I did planning, I did coordination. I did so many different things. And now, almost 7 years later, it's very niched. I only do same day coordination for large scale events. So like 300 plus people events.
Okay.
Start working with my clients 12 weeks before their event. There's a step-by-step process of what I'm going to do each week. So it's very like nailed down. But in the beginning, it started when I was planning my own graduation party, senior year of dental school. And so now I've grown to a team of 10 coordinators.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we just had a wedding last weekend. We have an event in New Jersey on Sunday. So it's growing and I'm excited about it, but I love doing it. It just works a different part of the mind, but it's kind of all the same. Like I'm always making lists and I'm always making schedules for all of the things that I do. So yeah, it just kind of works well for the way that my personality is.
So the way I'm gathering this is that, or hearing it, is that if you check all the boxes on your list, you open a new business. Like, I need a bigger list.
Something like, exactly. Like if I ever have free time, I'm like, what can I put here? But then at the same time, I'm always complaining like, oh, I'm so tired, but I'm always doing something. I cannot sit down. That's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, but there is a common thread there. I mean, dentistry, it's not like a black and white thing. I mean, it takes creativity. You have to it is a quick decision-making business. It is a quick decision-making for the patients. But you have to be creative. You have to have a vision, one for your office. So it seems like between the three, there's this common thread of you wanting to, express your creativity. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And just, it's usually like there's like a hole somewhere and I'm like, this could be so much better. And I think when I was planning my wedding, it was kind of like, there isn't any vendors for this. Like Nigerian events are big, like, people, 600 people, that's very normal for us. And there just wasn't anyone that I saw that could coordinate it in the way that we deserved. And it's usually that's where I'm coming from. It's like, this group of people deserves better than what they are being offered. And is there a way that I can provide that solution?
Well, I think if people are listening to this, they probably want to understand a little bit about, it seems like you focus more on the process than always the outcome, let's say.
Yeah.
But, maybe help us understand what some of the key processes. You talk about having a list for everything. And so help us understand your type A, like, here's what I like to do and get done, your routine that can translate maybe to other dentists.
So I really focus on systems. So I really don't harp too much on one-time problems. When a problem happens, I'm like, okay, how can this never happen again? What things do we need to put in place to make sure that this doesn't happen this way again? And so when I'm starting anything, I usually just open up the Google Doc and I just start writing. I pour everything out of my brain. I think a lot of people are bogged down with all the thoughts in their head that are constantly like running around. So once you write it down and get it out, your mind has more time and more space to like think freely about anything or just rest. And so I usually start by just writing everything down and trying to figure out like, what's the problem and where should we start? Like, all right, how would I talk to a potential client? And then what happens if they want to move forward? And I write that down. And what happens if they want to pay for it? Do I want, to do Cash App? Do I want to do Zelle? Do I want to get a payment processor? And I just write down all the steps to get to my end. And then over time, as you just start, you see where the problems come up and then you find solutions for them. So the biggest thing for me is always like just starting. Like with my scrub caps, I had 3 colors. And I said I was going to start in 2020. I literally launched on, I think, December 27th or something like that. Like I just, you know what I mean? I'm going to do it this year, so it's going to happen. However, it needs to happen. I was still editing my website on up into the minutes to the time I said I was going to launch. And then now I'm at 19 colors and you know what I mean, on Etsy and other stuff. So you can't start there where you envision it could end up, but you just have to start somewhere and then you'll be able to see the problems that are going to come up and then you find solutions to them. But I would never want to be like an emergency room doctor or anything where like, if I make a mistake, someone's going to die. Like these businesses, like nobody's going to die, so you can start and you can make a mistake and then you can fix it. A lot about customer service is just being responsive. It's not necessarily that you have to be perfect, but if you make a mistake, you own up to it. Like I've sent free scrub caps to people like, oh, I'm so sorry, we forgot this in your order. Like, here's an extra one. Like it's not, and they're happy and they move on and they're not thinking about me anymore. It's, but being so afraid to make a mistake, then you never start and you'll never know the potential of what it could be or the things that you could have fixed. So really, it's just to start the thing.
So just get it started. It's like, just drive to the gym. Just get there. Just get there. You don't have to work out. Just show up. Oh man, so much of the battle is just showing up. But to your other point though, so every time you have this business idea or a thought process of an issue that comes up, you throw it up on a piece of paper or a Google Doc and you let it bleed out there and every solution, every problem, questions, you kind of get it on a piece of paper and that allows you to have some more clear think time to then define a system or a process. Is that summarizing kind of accurately?
Exactly. So I have like notes in my phone and they're all titled like different things. So if I ever want to come back to it, I can go back and look. And most of the time now, because I'm kind of at capacity, I'm like, oh, this would be great, but I can't do it. But this is a great idea, and I just leave it there. Because there's nothing that I want to do that is like low quality. Like if I can't quality that I know my name means, then I won't do it at all. But I can still just, write it down and be like, this is a good idea. If someone else wanted to do it, I would give it to them, kind of thing.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, just you got to start pushing those ideas out there, right? Just get it started. So just find the right people. Well, this is cool. So as tell me where you're at right now today in this startup practice phase. Are they building it? What is the delay, or tell us where you're at within the process of it?
So right now, framing is done, and they're doing electrical and plumbing. Probably over the next 2 weeks, that should be done, and then it'll be drywall, and then hopefully smooth sailing until the end.
Till the sign.
You never know with construction. So,
what intricate details are you involved in? Are you ordering materials? Are you working with the bank still? Are you working with the GC? Like, tell us where your involvement is on a daily basis or weekly basis.
I'm in there every week, maybe sometimes a week. It's like too big of a project and way too much money to not know what's going on. I'm always texting my contractor or emailing him. And basically the subcontractors that he hires out, I know what's going on and I meet them. Like I just met with the electrician last week to do a walkthrough of the space. And the day before that walkthrough, me and my brother walked through and, look through everything. And then before I met with my brother, I wrote like a 6-page Google Doc of every single room and what I want in there. So I'm trying to do my best to make sure I'm thinking through everything. And then when the expert comes, at least I've thought through what I want. And then he's, the electrician's like, oh, we usually put it at 18 inches. I'm like, that sounds great. Because I don't want to tell you, oh, put it at 16 when you usually put it at 18. But at least I told you that I want an outlet on this wall. And now you're the expert and you know where to put it. Whereas if I didn't do my process with the Google Doc and then walk through my brother, then I wouldn't know what I wanted or what I needed. So I'm very involved. It's just, I don't know what I don't know. So I just try to Google a lot, research a lot, Facebook groups, and then talk to the contractors as much as possible.
All right. So you're in the day-to-day nitty-grittiness of it, which is kind of cool because you do get some control there of a brand new patient base, let alone every intricate detail of the office. Yeah. You know what's behind the walls, you know everything, right?
Yeah.
That is a cool part of a startup practice. And those, you see, I don't really have the stats on them, but they're less than people just buying offices or buying into a practice, et cetera. And a good opportunity for you. So when you were searching for the space, what were some big things that had like the area, I should say? You mentioned it a little bit before, but if I wanted to go start a startup practice, like how did you start to define where you want to open it?
So I live in Pawtucket, which it's not low income, but it's like mixed, I guess you would say. And then my practice is in between Pawtucket and Providence. And Providence is the same, like it's a city. So there's higher end areas, there's low income areas. And so I call my practice hood adjacent, meaning that I want it to be like kind of a little bit close to the hood, but a little bit where like basically like in the middle. So the plaza that I'm in, I started going there because there's this amazing bakery that I'm at way too much.
Fair enough.
So that plaza, their smoothies are like $9 for a smoothie. So people have money to spend in that area. And then very close to it is like a walking path. There's a hospital. There's a primary care clinic across the parking lot from me. And then my unit has all windows. So there was a lot working in my favor in terms of like exactly where I want to be. Like basically anywhere in the metro area, you can probably 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the most to my practice. And in Rhode Island, 15 minutes is like the maximum we'll travel. 15 minutes feels far for us. So you kind of need to be sub 15 minutes for someone to feel like that's local, really 5 minutes. And a lot of people walk around the area that I'm in. So anytime I'm in there, people are like walking by asking me like, what is this going to be? And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a dental office. So, I'm already meeting people. And so that area was ideal. I did my demographics report and everything came out good in terms of like, there's no, like, I can't look around and point to a dental spot in my area. So my gut felt like I knew I was going to be there regardless of what the report says, because I just believed in the space, but it was good to have the data to back it up.
So very cool. You took a little bit of like, let's do some logic here. And does the good demographic make sense? And also you took a little bit of like, I lived through this. I live in this area. I know what I want based on where I live and what it needs to have. You combine the logic and the emotion together. Very cool. So I got to imagine with all these notes that you have, the 3 businesses, it sounds like you have a lot of staff and a lot of employees.
Getting a little out of hand. I'm trying to actually get more systemization with it, like payroll and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, that is where I have a blind spot. So I am trying to get more help in those areas because the administration of it all can get cumbersome. And now with the dental staff, it's going to get a little while. So I'm trying to.
And you want to stay on the creative end.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So what's next for you? Like what's obviously the practice is front and center.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my baby. That's going to be my biggest focus.
Okay.
I want to build the brand. I think, my family is a little bit popular. Like my brother is kind of a popular guy in this area. And so he throws festivals and I manage his festivals for him.
Of course you do. Of course.
So it's like there is some pressure in terms of like what to expect from me.
Okay.
And I want to live up to that. And I want to provide a good value for people who come to see me as a dentist. And so I'm really focused on building that brand, and I'm going to be fee for service. So there has to be quality there, and people need to understand, exactly what it is that I'm offering. And I don't know if there's any other Black dentists in like Rhode Island like that have their own practice. So there's all of these pressures that I just want to make sure that, the product is going to be, it's going to be good. So that's really going to be my focus over probably the next couple of years, is just building that brand. I'm always up to something, but that will definitely be my primary focus.
Very cool. And I can appreciate that you want to make sure it's right. And sometimes there's pressure that's good. Sometimes too much pressure, as you described maybe in the first part of our discussion, that where you're stressing out, you're high strung,
right?
That affects your quality of everything, right? So, but sometimes other pressure can force you to be uncomfortable and allow you to grow. But I love that you're going to build your brand, and we're going to follow your brand. We'll follow it and see what's going on. And so there seems to be, and you described this really well today, and not specifically, but just more about what you're presenting as an opportunity, that no matter who you are, it's not just about dentistry. You could build a business in dentistry. You can build a business with different layers of dentistry, and also a business completely outside of dentistry with the wedding events. So leave us with just how you see the opportunity of dentists, the opportunity of becoming a dentist or dentistry going forward for people, and for particular people that are not normally in this type of career.
I think the biggest thing to hold on to is that you are in control of your life. No matter how someone can make you feel, a boss or whoever, like they're in charge of you, you are absolutely in control of your life and what it becomes. And so if you put as the paramount goal that you want to be happy, you want to be fulfilled, and you want to, leave a legacy in this world, then that informs your decision making. So if you're somewhere that is making you miserable, you don't have to be there. You can figure out, what do I need to do to get out of this situation? And working on other skills and exploring other passions will allow you to have that frame of mind to say, like, I don't need to do this kind of grinding day in and day out. Like, a job is a way to make money, and that is it. Like, so many ways to make easier ways to make $100,000 than being miserable. It just doesn't have to be so bad. So if you love dentistry, there's so many ways to love it. You can work in prisons, you can work in a health center, you can work for yourself, you can work for somebody, whatever suits you. But like taking that time to sit with yourself and knowing what is it that's going to make me feel happy and fulfilled, and then doing what it takes to do that. And in 5 years, that it may be a completely different answer to that question, but you deserve to continue to ask yourself that and do what it takes to get there. And that's really it. Like, you're not a tree, just move.
I like that. You're not just a great way to end it. And Dr. Alesh, how I see coaching, mentoring in your future as well, if you can find the time, but or maybe even national speaking. I could see you carry a great presence. It's very cool to see. I'd like to see where you end up. And how can people get in touch with you? Through Instagram?
So yeah, I actually love talking to people. I give my number out a lot. Like, I've given my number. I saw someone with a Tufts sweater on in the grocery store and I gave her my number. Like, because I didn't have so much mentorship, right? Yeah. And so I can share any of my mistakes so someone doesn't make them, or, you know, whatever it is. I'm happy to be a resource to people. I'm always texting back. So I'm not gonna give my number on the podcast, but my Instagram, Dr. Alesh, spelled out DoctorAlesh. You can always DM me there. dralesh@gmail.com, dralesh.com. It's very easy to find me. And I'm happy to talk to whoever about anything in dentistry, but don't sell me anything, please.
Don't tell me anything. Or if you're planning a wedding or event, we got
True. Scrub caps for your, there has been some offices that have bought for their whole office, which was really exciting. So if you need scrub caps for your whole team, I'm available for that too.
Well, we really appreciate it. We'll put your contact info in our show notes too, links to your website as well.
Thank you.
And we'll go from there. And I hope those of you listening enjoyed. And if you want to learn more and check her out, I encourage you to do so. Dr. Alesh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, Bridge Dental Podcast listeners, that is a wrap. Your resident financial advisor for dentists is signing off. Steve Kuza. Have a great day.